So as you guys can see, the shitty weather is rolling in. So by the time you see this video, you will have seen that we're working on tuning Rigo's car at the moment, but with the weather, it's kind of pushing us back. So that video may not be out yet. I don't know. Anyways, look at this beard game. Beard game's strong right now. If I don't shave for 2 weeks, it kind of gets out of control. So I do need to shave. But Rigo's coming into town, and so I'm gonna get my hair cut, have him line my beard up. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for. You wait for greatness, people. And Rigo equals greatness. At haircuts, at least. So, I've been contemplating making this video for a little bit, but, okay, this is why you gotta be on the YouTube notification squad. Not to only see my most updated videos, but, it's dark in this tunnel. Okay, dude, go, it's great! But, when I post stuff on the community tab, it's kind of like Instagram. Like, I can post a photo or share a link or share a video, and you guys can comment, we can interact, kind of like Instagram. And the reason for that is because not everyone that has a YouTube, it sounds crazy, but not everyone that has a YouTube has an Instagram or a Facebook or a Snapchat. So I do like to post on there. I don't post on there nearly as much as I do on Instagram, but I do post on there pretty often. So you will have seen that I posted the picture of my Hellcat for sale. Now, I will say this, I'll probably make a separate video on it. Kind of like the highlights of my car and like all the videos I did on it and took of it racing and all the fun I had with it. But it is still, because I still own it, the most fun I've ever had with a car. I did a lot with it. I traveled with it. I raced it. I cruised it. I did everything with it. And that car never let me down, except one time, but that was my fault. But other than that, like, that car never let me down. It was so much fun. And it was just really cool to kind of, you know, people underestimate the Hellcats, but I obviously had mine modded, you know, the correct way with a good tuner, and it turned a lot of people's heads, and people didn't think it would go that fast, especially, you know, for how big and how heavy of a car it is. And maybe the reason why I'm not over it, but the reason why I'm kind of slowly getting over the car is because maybe I modded it too fast. I mean, I did everything within a span of owning it just a year and a half. And I mean, I did a lot. I mean, I didn't build the motor. I didn't want to do those things. I didn't want to build the trans ever. I didn't want to have to build the motor, and I didn't want to have to do a bigger blower. Like, yeah, those things sounded cool, but you got to remember, you start making more power, the drivetrain stuff starts breaking, the transmission breaks, the rear diff starts going out, the axles break. And I got actually really lucky that I never snapped an axle. I just ripped a boot. But with a car that heavy, you've got to have a very tough drivetrain to put it down. Now, I think, and I've said this, I don't know, 1,000 frickin' times to everyone, but if you want to buy a car and you want to do bolt-ons and run nines and still be able to daily drive it and cruise it around on the street and you'll be happy, buy a Hellcat. By far the cheapest car to mod for what you get. So you can buy, and obviously it cost me a lot more. I did a lot more things. I went through one shop and then through the other, so it took a lot more money. But you can get Tim Barth's 900 wheel horsepower package for $6,000, not installed, but for all the parts and the tuning and all that is $6,000. The only thing that doesn't include is dual fuel pumps, and the only reason why is because some people are able to get away with just a boost pump. But yeah, I had another $1,000 of that for dual fuel pumps, and you've got a legit mid to high 9-second car, depending on what your DA is, your density altitude. But you've got a mid to high 9-second car, reliably tuned by one of the best for Hellcats, and that's pretty inexpensive. Like, some people might say that's expensive, but go compare that to putting a twin turbo kit on a new Mustang, which is 8 to 10 grand for just parts, and that's not even everything you need. That's just the turbo kit itself. You still need fuel system and all that good stuff. So, and then tuning, like, you know, just there's a lot of stuff you need. A Corvette, to make it run nines, you got to put a decent amount of money into it. I mean, you can make anything fast with any amount of money, but I think if you bought the Hellcat used, because you can get them pretty inexpensive right now used, and then you go do the Tim Barth 900 wheel horsepower package, I mean, you've got a legit daily driver 9-second car. I was talking about this with Rigo, but it's sad that nowadays, if you don't have like 800 or 900 in a heavier car, like It's boring. Like, we've stepped up everything. The threshold has like been raised for what a car should make and for how fast a car should be. I mean, you can buy cars now with 840 horsepower, 800 horsepower, 700 horsepower. Like, it's insane. Everyone's going that way. And but I do feel, I'm gonna throw this side note in here, I do feel that the horsepower wars are coming to an end very soon. Just with the amount of stuff that Dodge has been releasing lately, and then Chevy tried to match it, and then, you know, Ford, I don't know what they're doing, but you know, they've got a good platform, but they haven't released a car that you can drive from the factory that competes with the Hellcat or the ZR1 or the Demon, any of that stuff, ZL1, 1LE, any of those cars. You know, they're working on the GT500, but they're almost too late with it, and it better be freaking amazing for how long they're taking. Now, side note, another side note, the Mustang GT is a really good platform, but you have to mod it. So I'm talking about cars straight out of the factory being that high horsepower, not modded. I'm talking straight out of the factory. I think Dodge has definitely won it. Chevy has definitely taken like the track side of things, and Dodge has definitely taken it for the straight line stuff, and Mustang's just kind of been behind. But that's neither here nor there. So if you want my honest opinion, I've driven all the cars, I've raced modded ones. I still firmly believe if you're looking at the big three for American muscle cars, go get yourself a Hellcat, save up $6,000 to $7,000, put that in it, get you some sticky tires, maybe some 17s. You don't even need 15s. You can get away with 17s if you got a good track, or if you're just doing roll stuff. That car will amaze you, trust me. You don't have to do as far as I went. My car should have gone a lot faster. I just never got it to good air. So my car was easily a very, very low 9-second car. Now, I can't say it that it is a low 9-second car because I never ran it, but in good weather, it's easily a low 9-second car based on the trap and based on the 60 foots. And so there was more things I could have done. There's tons of things I could have done, but at the end of the day, I was just chasing a time slip for Hellcats. I wasn't really, I wasn't really going to races to compete. I was always like, didn't really care if I won or not. The only thing I cared about was a freaking time slip. And so I was really time slip chasing, and this is what leads me to kind of selling the Hellcat, is that I want to get a little more into competitive racing. Now, I don't want to be going out every weekend racing, but I want to be able, like when there's a local event at the track, where there's an event in Oklahoma City or an event in Dallas or an event in Houston or New Mexico or Colorado, places that are pretty close, I can go into these classes and actually compete. The only thing with my car, God, people can't drive for shit here. The only thing with my car is, you know, some of the classes I want to compete in, it's really not a contender, because a lot of cars that fit in that true street car class are very, very fast cars. No matter where you go, they're they're into like the mid 5 seconds in the 8th mile, where my car is doing like low 6s in the 8th mile. And to kind of push mine to that next level, it would have cost a lot of money. Now, like I said, you can spend as much money as you want, you can make anything fast, but I don't think the Hellcat was the right platform to take to the next level, because it's so heavy as it is. You start making more power, you need to lighten the car, but to lighten the Hellcat, you can't just do simple things like other cars. Other cars are already way under 4,000 pounds, so when you start doing seats and the wheels and the brakes, like the things I did to the Hellcat, you start getting into like the mid 3,000s. Or even under that. You know, you start doing that to a Hellcat and you're lucky to get around 4,000. So it's all relative. So like I said, I want to do some competitive racing. I want to be a little more competitive when I go out to these classes. And Hellcats, a big thing also with some of the races I want to do is Hellcats don't 60 foot that well. If I would have done Demon springs, which I actually ordered and they're still not even here, but if I would have switched my springs to Demon springs, I could have easily been cutting 1.3s consistently like everyone else did. There's a cheap mod though. If you really want to drag your car and get better 60 foots, get Demon springs. They're only $250 to $300 depending where you get them. Anyways, that was my next mod. I actually ordered them. But even then, you know, you're on 15s with Demon springs, like you're still only in the 1.3s, whereas other cars, they're cutting 1.2s and 1.3s on 17s. I'm on 15s. So, yeah, there's people that have cut 1.3s on 17s for Hellcats. But like I said, you got other cars, they're in like 1.2s, excuse me, sometime in the teens. Just because they 60 foot so much better, they're not as heavy. The drivetrain can actually hook up without freaking braking. Now, don't get me wrong, in other cars, you know, you're gonna break stuff too. It's all, like I said, it's all relative. I just don't think the Hellcat, like, price per aftermarket part of what I want to do, because I want to go to kind of the next level, is worth it. So I think, so my plan is to sell the Hellcat, and then start looking for something either that's already built and then I can kind of make my tweaks to it. Now the only reason why you would do that is because you save a lot of money up front. Like, you don't have to buy the turbo kit, or you don't have to buy the built motor. You're just kind of upgrading things here and there as they come or as they break. Whereas if you buy a car, like a base model vehicle, maybe like a Vet or something, you've got to upfront the cash for the, you know, the built heads and the cam, and you got to upfront the cash for the Pro Charger, and you got to upfront the cash for the transmission. So if you buy a car that's already got some of that done to it, you save a shit ton of money. Plus, then you can just upgrade it as that stuff breaks, because it does break, or you can just maintain it if it holds. So there's two different ways to do it. You know, there's the whole built versus bought conversation, but I would like to get something that at least already has like a turbo kit or a Pro Charger. I'm gonna stay away from superchargers, but I want to get something either that's turboed or Pro Charged. And if you guys think you know what vehicle I'm getting, you're probably wrong. So just keep thinking, because I really haven't decided. I'll tell you what, I'm not getting that right there. No, that's just not the worst Mustang. Sorry, Austin. They're not good looking. There's some that are good looking, but man, I'm just not a fan of that body style. I'm sorry. Like, Austin's car is really clean. The Terminator, I mean, I would drive it, but I couldn't see myself buying one. I definitely couldn't see myself driving one. I like Mustangs, but not that body style. Anyways, so that's my plan, is to get something a little cheaper, maybe that already has mods to it, done to it, or something that's really mod friendly. But yeah, the difference will be that either I've got to find something that's got a power adder on it, or find something that I'm going to put a power adder on. But the problem is, like I said, if you're doing the power adder, it's going to cost a lot of money up front. Now, the only thing that sucks with buying something that's already built is you don't know who built it, how well it was built, but you can find some really good cars. I've gone that route before and it screwed me over once. I bought a built car before and it screwed me over, but there was no build sheets, there was no data on the car. It was just kind of, hey, this is the parts it has, and that's what it gets. All right, what is this guy doing? Move out of my way, fool. So yeah, that's my plan. Get something older, cheaper, and try and make it, you know, the goal, I don't even know what the goal is really. The goal is to go faster and be able to compete in more classes. I don't even know what I want to do, but the goal is always to go faster. So, I mean, I know a lot of people subscribed because I have the Hellcat and we do a lot of Mopar stuff on the channel. I mean, we're still going to do a lot of Mopar stuff. I still, you know, I'll be helping Kevin work on his car, his freaking fleet of Mopars. I still love Mopars. I'm sure I'll own a Hellcat in the next couple years, especially, you know, with how inexpensive they're becoming. I'm sure I'll own one eventually again. But just at the moment, I don't think it's the right car for what I want to do. So that's why I'm selling my Hellcat. I'm asking for $53,000. I believe it should go for that, if not just a little bit less. I know they're dropping in value, but mine does only have 6,000 miles. It's been wrapped almost its entire life. It's back to stock. The only thing it has on the rear, it still has the 50-inch conversion on the rear, so I guess if you're gonna mod it, that's a good thing. Other than that, it's pretty much back to stock. It's got the sunroof, the Harman Kardon. It doesn't have leather. It has now the black leather outside with Alcantara down the middle. But it's back to stock. It's running good. It has brand new tires and wheels. I'm definitely gonna miss the car. Still one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. Like, I think now I'll be on like 23 or 24. I don't know. I've got to count how many vehicles I've owned. But still one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. I'll definitely miss that car. But I've got a brother that has a Hellcat and a Demon and Trackhawk, so whenever he's not looking, I'm taking that shit out. But yeah, so kind of tough to make this video that I'm selling it. I'm sure, like when I sold my Jeep, I'm sure I'll lose some subscribers, but that's just part of it. You know, you should subscribe. I've said this before, but you should subscribe to a channel that you really like what the person does on a daily basis and kind of what they do, not just for the vehicle, because not that many people ever keep the same vehicle, especially not me. But if you unsubscribe, thanks for hanging around as long as you did. You're missing out because we've got some really cool stuff. And the cool thing about what I get next is I'll be doing a lot more traveling to race. I'll be doing a lot more competitive racing instead of just going to the track, trying to get that quarter-mile time. And, you know, I'll actually be going against more people. I just didn't do that often, and that's what I want to do. But I didn't feel like the car would do that good in, like, grudge-style racing or true street classes, you know, because it doesn't really have a launch control. It was just like a foot brake setup. It didn't 60 foot that great. I mean, it went low fours. Like I said, it would go 1.3s if I switched the springs. But I didn't switch the springs. I had them on order, but I didn't end up doing it because I'm selling it. So I need something that, you know, it can have a trans brake. It can have a two-step, which is really why I want turbo. It can 60 foot a lot better, a lot easier. The car's a little bit lighter. And the reason why I really want a turbo car is, you know, when the track prep is shitty, you can turn the power down. With a supercharger, you can't really turn the power down. It's just not that simple. Like, you gotta switch pulleys to change the boost levels. And I mean, you could have multiple tunes, but it's a lot easier with a turbo car to turn the power down. So that's what I'm looking at doing. So just need to get the Hellcat sold. I mean, there's already someone interested in it, and I haven't even posted for sale. I only post on Instagram and Snapchat. So if you guys are interested, or if you know someone that's interested, you can just have them email me down below or hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, one of those. But I really appreciate your guys' support. I really hope you stick around. If you don't, that's okay. But I'm actually making another vehicle move this weekend too, so there'll be another video on that. You guys will be excited to see that one actually. So thank you guys for sticking around. Make sure you always comment, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat, Vanby39, and rest in peace, Sneaky Cat.